Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Inworld Review. This is a program where we look at arts, destinations, and indeed people. Without people, where will we be? On the hypergrid. The hypergrid is actually a method by which various simulators using the open source OpenSim software are built and indeed connect. So, unlike, say, an early virtual world like Second Life, where it's all one big commercial grid, out here in the frontier, so to speak, there are thousands and thousands of different grids, big ones, large ones, but they're all connected and you can jump between them, unless not allowed, of course, using something called the hypergrid. So we travel all over the hypergrid to bring you our wonderful show focused on this, that, and the other. And we have a special show with you this week. Oh, well, every week is special, really. But we're looking at Jerry Garcia, late guitarist, frontman of the Grateful Dead, and a museum dedicated to him. And before that, we're also going to have a look at Neverworld, which is the grid where that particular museum has been hosted. But we'll get to that as we get to it, so to speak. First of all, a few introductions. My name is Mal Burns. If you did not know this already, shame on you. Sorry. To my right is the knob pusher himself, always fiddling and always sitting. It's James Atloud.
Thank you, Mal.
Yeah. We know the knobs in question. They're to do with audio and video and everything, but it's got a nice ring to it. The knob pusher.
It just flows along so smoothly. We have a great show.
It does indeed.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, and to my left, my wonderful co-host Thirza Ember, also known as the head honcho of Safari and all sorts of things. Co-producer with me of HIE, which we've just finished, and all sorts of stuff. So welcome, Thirza.
Thank you, Mal. It's great to be here.
Now, we'll be coming to her later in full, but we have our major guest, as it were, from Neverworld, is Govega. Oh God, I don't know how to pronounce his second name, do I? Govega
Sachertorte. You don't.
It's just a Sachertorte.
Sorry. Well, never mind. Govega. That's all we need to know. Govega from the grid. And sitting next to her, but not on voice, I don't think, so we won't hear much from him. Maybe he'll squeak from time to time. I think he's one of those funny little things from, on the home planet of Luke Skywalker. Oh, that's something else.
Definitely some beeping going on there. Welcome, Nexus.
Yeah, so welcome Nexus, and you can scuttle around in the caverns of Tatooine. That's the name of it, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. I see the Govega's also brought an extra cushion. Gosh golly. I'm coming in on it, but I don't know why, because I'm not the one filming. Right.
Yes, I found these cushions at the fair. I think they're made by Mr. Smokes, so I couldn't resist bringing a couple to the studio because they just celebrate Neverworld Grid.
Yeah, no. So we should have something like that for
Good job, Mr. Smokes.
Mr. Smokes. I wonder what that's all about.
Isn't that a great name?
It is actually. Well, a bit like acidic trips. Remember last week? Right. Okay. So, yeah. So to get back to things, right. We'll just plunge into things here first. As I said, we'll be coming back to Govega to talk about Nowhere and also Jerry Garcia's museum. There's a nice picture behind us here. You probably see on the camera shots and things of Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead in his very younger days before A Touch of Grey, to quote a song by him, by the way, came in, and the White Beard for that matter. But we'll be getting into all that later. We're going to start the show where we normally do, which is a quick interlude slot with Thirza, looking at stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. And we publish this sort of separately on YouTube. So over to you, Thirza, for Hypergrid Happenings.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very, very much, Mal. Here we are once again with Hypergrid Happenings. Of course, last week a lot was happening because it was Halloween. So this week, maybe a few slightly fewer events this week happening because people are then going to build up for the Thanksgiving celebration in the United States. And then, of course, Christmas will be coming, and that probably will last about, 6 weeks
6
of
months.
celebrations. And exactly, and snow and reindeers and things like that. But I just want to begin with the 8th birthday. That's why we're right here on Neverworld Grid today, and just wanted to say immediately happy birthday to everybody on Neverworld. It's a wonderful grid. You're just
Thank
great
you.
creators. Absolutely love it. 8 years. That is really something. And I'm sure you'll have lots more to tell us about that later on. Other things, though, happening this week. On Tuesday, if you haven't been over there recently, go check out the Starfleet Boogie over on Third Rock Grid. Every Tuesday they do that at 12 o'clock Second Life time. So that's 9 o'clock in Europe. They have fun. They just do some dancing, some community mixing and matching and talking about situations that come up in the grid, but they also can show you around their role-playing spaceships, of course, that they have. That's over on Starfleet Infinity. As you may know, that's connected to the Second Life Star Trek group, which is a huge group. And over here on OpenSim in Third Rock Grid, they think they have 4 ships right now who all do missions every week on different days. So that's a lot of fun happening over there in the role-play area of Starfleet. But there's a lot of boogieing also going on. So if you're not really into the role play, that's fine too. You can have some fun with the group. Some very interesting and creative people over on Third Rock. I really love it. Another thing that is coming up this week, of course, is the finale of the Safari. This is our final Safari of the year, and it's going to be held as usual on a Wednesday. We begin at 12 noon Second Life time. Now all the clocks are the same, so that won't be a problem figuring out what time it is in Europe and what time it is in the United States and Canada. So that's a relief. And we're going to do 2 things. First of all, we're going over to Nara's Nook Grid, where they have built a facsimile of the OpenSim Community Conference audience area, and they're going to show us their presentation ahead of time, so we get to see that. If you haven't ever seen what Nara's Nook, what the girls over there do, they basically have a storytelling project going on where you enter the story with an avatar and can choose how the story will play out, interacting with NPCs. It's incredibly interesting, and they've been working on it for some time, and they're really perfecting it. So that will be the first thing we do. And then we're going over to Echo Park, which is on our grid, which belongs to Cara Fay Ray. Most people know her for her particles. And she has a fantastic science display over on Echo Park. So it uses a lot of particles to explain how the universe works. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Another thing that's coming up is the Candelorians. Now, they've actually got a new grid now. This is a very old German role-play group, and they focus on the Renaissance. They have a lot of ships. They have pirates and merchants and wenches and all that kind of good stuff. They've just now got this new grid, so you can go over and play with them, check it out, see what it's like. They're very friendly over on the new grid, which is called Candle's World. So that's on Friday. The Candelorian is sort of rebirth, if you will. I think they were on Soul Grid before, so now they've got their own place. This is going to be happening next Saturday at 11 o'clock on the 11th of November. So 11/11/11. And that's going to be a fun event to be part of. Finally, just want to remind everybody the OpenSim Community Conference is coming up. Is that right? The 10th and the 11th? I kind of feel like it isn't.
Yep.
11th and 12th.
11, 12, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be the 9th and the 10th?
I really don't know.
Well, so my advice is just whenever it's the weekend,
Yeah,
Spend all your
9:10.
time
You're
over
right.
on the OSCC.
Yep.
Never leave.
Right. Yes, I think it is. It's the weekend after
I
that.
think
Isn't
I
it?
copied down somebody's wrong information there. So anyway, it's coming up. It's going to be a big deal. Lots of really interesting talks coming up, art displays, and a lot of fun happening over on the OSCC for 2 days of immense talent being shown. And speaking of immense talent, just to remind everybody, if you do have an event coming up, you run a project or you're having a big party, maybe you teach a class or you have an art opening or something like that coming Hypergrid happening.
Well, thanks, Thirza. I think we might have experienced a slight cutout at the very end there, just before the music, but nothing too distressing. I actually, when you mentioned OSCC, I suddenly looked at the last picture of Advertising Safari this Wednesday. The Nara Snook picture actually shows her build or something in the OSCC grid, and I know I'm down to help her at the conference. They're going to be doing a big thing, and I think something that takes over the whole region. So exciting stuff. But we'll probably find out more on Wednesday, a preview sort of thing or something. Right now, I also have a Mastodon feed that mentions various things on OpenSim, and I've just loaded it for ease here at the moment. Karima Hoyson and her partner Del Guinness have been publishing quite a few things filmed on Kitely on YouTube recently. And although the actual build is quite old, they've issued one a couple of days ago of an area called the Hudson Line. I've got that on the screen here. It's 7 minutes long, so I'm actually not going to show it, but basically so you know it's there. And moving back, as opposed to hypergrid happenings that are going to be happening, this is a case of a hypergrid happening that did happen, i.e. Safari this previous Wednesday. And let's go to the first one here. This one was called Timeless Ariadne, was it? I forget. So Tessa can tell us anyway. We got about 17 lovely pictures. This was a very interesting build and multi-layered and lots of hidden bits in the mountains. And yeah, tell us more as we go, Tessa, I think.
Well, I mean, it's Sam Timeless. He's a builder over on Groovyverse. He's been there some time. I know members of our audience here know him well too. So he kind of offered to show us one of his many other regions that he keeps over there on Groovyverse, and he chose this one because it's very picturesque. And he literally made up a wonderful story to go with the region.
Yeah, the story was great.
I think
love
2
that.
days. Yeah, but he only made that up a couple of days before.
Oh, really?
It was almost instantly.
It seemed like it had been there forever. It was such a big
Yeah, it's
history.
not like he'd written
Yeah.
a story and built the place, you know, it's not the other
Right.
way around.
Right.
No, the opposite way around. Because I told it when he said this place doesn't really have a story. I said, well, be careful because if you let the safari people come, they will make up their own story, and it, so you may want to choose what the interpretation should be. So that's exactly what he did. So a wonderful case of creativity sort of being forced to happen because of the safaris. So that was a lot of fun. And the idea is that there's these 4 tunnels that lead into the volcano in the center, and it was a lot of stairs. Somebody commented to me that the use of space and going up and down was incredibly good, and I think maybe Sam has some sort of theatre background or something like that, and that's probably why, because he's used to making the most of a space. I loved it.
The Halloween
Very
bit here, of
spooky.
course.
Slightly Halloween-y, yes, even though technically it was already the first. So,
Yeah.
and of course, remember that's another thing. It's great that people remember that. Yes, we do have this blog, and there's a few photos. Some of them better than others. Some of them atrocious because it's quite hard to photograph while you're actually on the safari. But Jessica Pixel, or Lifted Pixel as she's called sometimes, she has been coming on safari as often as she can, and she actually films the whole thing from her point of view. So we have this wonderful archive of her videos as well. So many times I miss a bit, so I love to go and see what she filmed, because and I see what I missed.
Yeah.
This is where you go down into the depths in the middle of the lake, and there's this machine that appears to be cleaning the water, which after we were there probably needed to be running blast for a couple of days.
Disinfected.
Yeah.
Oh, now this is
This
great.
is
Now
the machinery.
inside the mountain, there's a whole complex. So I don't know, it's steampunky, but it's a huge machine complex.
Yeah.
And you don't see it from the outside at all, unless you actually stumble upon some of the many caves that lead into it. You wouldn't know.
Exactly, and this is the great thing for me with the safari, because I think it's happened to everybody who's here in this room. You go to a sim, it looks pretty good. You think, I like this, very pretty, but you only have so much time you can spend. And if there's nobody there, you're on your own, you may stumble across the whole thing, but there's a good chance you'll miss a lot of it. And this is the beauty of going to visit the region with the person who made the region. And they explain to you what it is, and they show you all the hidden bits. And of course, it's very satisfying for them too, to be able to show off what they've made. But it really brings it to life, doesn't it?
It really does, and it's so funny because that factory was to clean the toxic gas that had come from the volcano. So I was just that's so funny to think the story was made up with that elaborate steampunk machinery there.
I pointed out he did not have any story at all.
It's funny, I did
before he knew we were coming. There was no story.
Excellent. Wow.
I did something nowhere near as elaborate as this back when I was on Great Canadian Grid, and kept on buying new regions and sort of expanding it. And every kind of scene in the build was another backstory, and some of the backstories interconnected into quite an epic, But I was the other way around. I had to figure out what the backstory would be. And nobody came.
To be fair, he did tell me that the laser did clean the water before, but there was none of the other stuff that was happening. Oh, we're talking of history. So this is the second of our 2 destinations. Yeah. We went over to Craft Grid. This is Neulab, the name of the region, the City of Women, and it's basically any or all ancient or women writers.
I was just going to say ancient women. What the hell?
Yeah, no, a lot of them are. I find the ancient part the most interesting, but maybe it's just me. I won't. So yes, so it explores Greek and Roman writers, and this is a build by Tonino Lane, but it's supporting the research of Lorenzo Collicino, who's a sort of she used to teach middle school back in the day, but she has collected all this information about women writers through history, and this is what the build is all about. So it teaches you something. At the same time, it's kind of inspiring, and it's just fun to visit. If you're not interested in the history, it doesn't matter. It's still a very fun place to go to.
Oh, and the history is phenomenal. I just had no awareness of
that's Tonino Lane
work she's done.
No, she's done a great job. Obviously there was, like we discussed this before, and this is something Govega and Nexus can relate to. Before we went there, we talked, Govega and I, there is no way that we can see everything you have here. And she's like, well, okay, I'll just show you a bit of it. But towards the end, she was like, no, but there's so much more you have to see.
Yes. Sorry, no time.
And it's exactly, our time was up. So, but we did promise we would go back, because we didn't see an awful lot. The walking houses, and the bit about Virginia Woolf. There's loads more that we missed. So,
and eras of time. The buildings were grouped by historical periods. And so I think we missed a couple of major periods.
Yes, we jumped about a bit. And of course, the castle that we visited, there's a load. I have loads more photos that I couldn't put in the post without making it ridiculously long. It's 3 floors just full of beautiful scenes and places where you can sit down, and so that these are all based on real people and real places. So it's fascinating because you're kind of learning something, but you're also having some fun. Yeah. Of course, Lorenzo really, yeah, that's one of the rooms up in the castle. And Lorenzo is very detail oriented, so there's just you could just be there a week and you still wouldn't understand and absorb everything.
School
And they
time.
do have, yeah, they had a book release here. I forget who it is that wrote the book. So they do have like social events also connected with the real world happening over there. And then we go on to the Baroque period, all these famous ladies. And this was last place. I
Real world
think that's the daughter of Lorenza, who she's in teaching and using virtual worlds to teach. So, but yeah, we just have to go back and see the rest.
I have extended silent film of both of these builds, but we obviously can't share that here today. I'm thinking actually in the gap between safaris whether we should do like run some of the film retrospectives of
Be fun, yeah.
the season, as it were, maybe a special show or something. Anyway, that's it for there. Let me just just reload. Hang on. Don't know where I am now, do I? Okay, I think that was it for that department. Sorry, I'm just double checking here on the hang on. Oh no, that was last week's show. So yeah, that's good, and we've looked at that. Fine. Okay, so coming back here to opening the Neverworld folder. I'll come to these later if we need some extra footage, I think. But I had previously been to Neverworld. Yeah, the pictures you're seeing on screen now are just the N. Williams Memorial Garden, for example, and whatever. But we're going to concentrate first. I think. Well, I'll leave it up to Govega. Right, switching tact again completely. I'm going to welcome back Govega. Welcome.
Thank you.
Not quite sure where to start here, actually, because we actually have so much. But since you were talking about we were talking about the birthday party here. I've loaded this. We've got about 6 minutes here. I think this is silent, or is it? Oh yeah. This is the one I filmed. So I'll run this in the background while we're talking, and you can see it on the screen beside you. So if at any point you want to point out a little bit. There was only really time for me to film from the air and get the general impression. I mean, we'd have been there all day if I got in beneath. But how's it been going? Has it been successful so far?
Well, it was a very, very busy week,
All right.
but really successful. And I mean, I have such great creators on the grid. And we just came up with this birthday region. Basically, what we thought was at this stage, which you see here, we would want this kind of the central stage, and then we wanted everything else fanning out from it. And we decided really for this birthday sim, we wanted to feature our creators, of course, and some of our grid sims that we've worked on collectively together. That actually Hypergrid Safari has been at some of them in the last year. So what we decided to do
some
really,
stuff I recognized, yeah.
yeah, we decided to because how are you going to show like these big massive Vara regions on this one region in a parcel? So we decided to actually take some of the stuff that was mesh and shrink from the actual region, shrink it down and make miniatures, like little dioramas, animated dioramas of these regions. So, I mean, Nexus and Mr. Smokes and all the builder admins, they just like jumped right into it and they just like did the most imaginative things. This is that's part of Neo Rome. We call her Tiny. She shoots
Tiny.
darts, so
She's
be
monstrous.
And we have virtual recall, which is in itself was like a diorama. So we kind of shrunk that down and made it. This is Freeport right here. So we took like some of the key buildings and just shrunk them down because they're mesh and it's easy to do that. It's easy to resize them. And
I think Nexus was saying that it's quite a challenge to shrink down mesh. You suddenly realize that some pieces are much smaller than others. And
yeah,
is that true?
and yeah, but you just wanted to get the idea, not the whole obvious sim, but just the idea. And so what we have is we had landmark givers on all of these parcels, not to have people jump off right now, but maybe take a landmark and after they were done looking at the birthday region, then go and check out all these landmarks of the actual regions. So we had Virtual Recall, Neo Rome, Freeport. We have a big Sky Harbor is a big aircraft and aerospace museum that Troy C. Knight has put together. He did that. That's Lost Notch. That's our skiing sim. And yeah, I mean, this got really put together really quite quickly. And then on the outer areas, we also had areas for people who, like our regular region owners, renters, who might have a region that they wanted to highlight on a birthday. And of course, Neverworld, we're all about creating and giving and sharing what we create for free. So make sure there's plenty of freebies to be picked up all over the place on this sim. And I mean, you can see in the background there the Neo-Rome Coliseum. It's just great what got done. I mean, and quickly. So I mean, I think at most we were working on this sim maybe a month, but not, in the first week we had most of it really down. A lot of the details, the road. Nexus does roads. He's like the road department in Neverworld. And Mr. Smokes helps out with that too, and he does like a lot of the detail work too. So actually myself, I haven't even seen everything that is on this region, on the birthday region.
It's
So
colossal.
yeah, that being said, we are going to keep it up for a few weeks. So it's not just like going away right away. We want people to still go get their explore, get their landmarks, get their freebies that we're giving away, and check it out. And then we will eventually retire this and hopefully resurrect it next year for the 9th birthday. We'll see. But yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it, and we've had the whole week has been really filled with events. We had a speed build, we had karaoke, we had a lot of live performers and DJs, and we just had a lot of fun. And I believe it was very well attended. And, kind of we were on the top of the Open Sim World, audience. During our events. So, and then Aqua Abyss, that's part of Advantis, which is a sci-fi region that Nexus owns actually. But Aqua Abyss also is just an incredible underworld mermaid, deserted, broken down ruins, half on underwater, half above water, and
Oh yes, that bit didn't quite work for me.
yeah, there's
In
just
camera.
the fleet that Raffaellos did, and you really have to go into that. It's like a mind bend when you go in there.
Yeah.
So just so much.
I must say,
I got the feeling that it's like a directory almost of everything Neverworld. I mean, I'm sure there's more, but when you come to Neverworld, you see the posters of, well, you can teleport here and there, but just walking around this region, it just inspires you, because I've seen quite a bit of Neverworld, but I know I haven't seen it all. And there's more walking around in this place. I was like, wow, I have to go to all these places. It's just so much.
You could get lost, just on this region because it's just kind of convoluted. It's circular the way the roads are and the parcels, but it was really fun to do, and I can't tell you, if it wasn't for all these creators that I have, we have such a strong group right now of creators And I'm not just talking about builders, I'm talking about, so we have Gandhar, we just redid our website, we integrated JOpenSim, and and trying to do more interactive stuff with the website. And we've just had such a great, strong group. We have Star Mena, who is doing the events now. We have several standing events during the week. So it's just really been a great year.
Can you just explain what JOpenSim is? Because I heard you mention that before, but maybe not everybody is familiar with that, JOpenSim.
So it's an integrated web program that integrates with your Inworld account. You're able to online go and check out like destinations. You're able to log in. You're able to do a couple of things like check out your friends online. You're able to, we have a very good, nice like Google type map now. You're able to use to teleport. It's and the only thing bad about the JOpenSim is really the developers really kind of stopped doing stuff on it. So that it's questionable how far we can go, because as OpenSim, is developed and changed, and we have a lot of stuff is integrated with our database tables. And if the database tables, the names change, and JOpenSim developers aren't going along with those changes, then you have stuff that breaks. So I'm not sure how long JOpenSim is going to be the thing to use, but I know a lot of grids do use it right now and integrate. We are on a different OpenSim version than JOpenSim integrated with, so some of our stuff is not totally functional, but I know on some other grids, you could change your profile and online, and you could do a lot online. So it's a good thing. And if JOpenSim doesn't continue, there's other developers that are working on other website integrations. So we're monitoring everything and testing out a lot of stuff. But I'm happy that we're using it, because I think it's, good to be able to, like Second Life, not to refer to Second Life, but it's good to be able to do some stuff online and not actually in world.
Yeah, on the back end, basically. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And
I heard of JOpenSim quite a lot, but you're right. I haven't sort of come across it mentioned very recently. But again, it's a developer's, grid owners thing. So
yeah,
it's not something you hear everyman language. Yeah.
and we're this is the keys, by the way, that he's showing. It's like a 11 by 11 region, and it's all replica of the Florida Keys. We have an undersea observatory with mermaids. But it's great. It's great because the road system goes. We have the continent, the bountiful continent that we have right now, is about 70 sims that are all integrated with waterways and roadways, and the Keys is connected to that. So you could literally take a scooter and take an hour ride from one side to the other. Yeah, it's really quite an experience. And I usually, when people first come onto the grid, friends of mine and stuff, I take them for a little bit of a motorcycle ride so they could see. And, having a big 10 by 10 region or 11 by 11 region like that means no sim crossings. We still do have some sim crossings, but it's an experience. It almost feels real. So we have, as you can see, we have cities, we have little towns, we have a lot of free parcels. We do give free parcels to everybody, not just a grid residents. We have a lot of hypergridders that have parcels also on the continent. It's been really, that's another really big thing that we did in the last year, and we love it. So most of us actually live there, as far as having houses and stuff, because we like company, we like people, we like to have neighbors. So
Oh,
it's
wonderful.
been great.
Yeah, the continent is brilliant because there's so much happening on it. You have everything. You have some interesting architecture, and obviously the landscape is beautiful. But then there's freebie stores and there's art galleries. Yeah, it's very interesting. So many
And
different things to see, and I really like the fact that there's no ban lines, so that anybody can go
right,
anywhere, and
right.
that really gives you a sense of
Thank you.
freedom. Wonderful.
And we're actually on the continent at the studios in Silver Bell, which is on the continent actually. So
Yes, an outside broadcast, although hopefully the viewers don't notice. It's another copy. We're actually producing this studio all over the place these days. So. Right. Well, I think moving on from the Neverworld focus in general, let's move on to the Garcia Museum and the thing. Now, unfortunately, she hasn't, I gather, made it today. We were going to have one of the Garcia family with us, we thought. But I've sort of been digging up various bits for us to talk about too, and we almost started the show early because we were gossiping beforehand. And Thursday said, hang on, do this when we get on the show." So before I move on to some more video, I just thought I got a couple of little snippets here, picture-wise, to show. On screen, I've got a wonderful early photo of Jerry Garcia. Now, Jerry Garcia, for those who don't know, was the I guess the principal guitarist and in many ways a frontman of the Grateful Dead. I mean, they were all kind of known and they were very much a band. But I think Jerry kind of got the spotlight, although I think reluctantly a lot of the time. This is an early pick. You can tell they're an American band, I think, from the headgear. And most people think of Jerry as sort of the grey haired and the big white beard, which I think he got rather early. But I remember, I don't know, I think it was the 90s or something. There was a music video for it too. They released a song called "The Touch of Grey," and it was really kind of appropriate because I think it was the cusp of the moment where it was becoming a bit grey, put it that way. This is another early pick, but by this time he's got his wilder look, as it were, just backstage. I think this was late 70s, so I hadn't quite gone grey then, but sort of some small gig somewhere. I almost wish I could be showing you pictures there. This one is just an odd one. There are lots of these, but there's a group on Facebook called Art is Dead. And I follow a lot of the psychedelic, period posters from Winterland and the Avalon Ballroom and that stuff. One of my earliest influences, really. And I think I was on one of those groups, and I saw a post like this, and then I clicked through, and I ended up joining this group because at first I thought art is dead. What's this? A campaign for some kind of anarchic art. But then I realised it's actually art about the dead, not just Jerry, but the dead particularly. And like this would have been, I don't know the credits. There is a credit at the bottom there, but I can't really read it. It looks like G. Erie or something. But these are obviously fans, maybe deadheads or whatever, who are actually artists too, and they're all doing their sort of interpretations or just snapshots of things, and they
That's
post
a
them.
great picture, that one, isn't it? I love that one. That's probably my favorite. I was
Yeah.
just wondering, Govega, how did Jerry Garcia end up being represented in Neverworld? How did that happen?
So, Menashe Garcia, who was married to him for 7 years, and Keelan, their daughter, happens to be a very close family friend of mine since, actually my older brothers. And we've been friends for forever, since school. And when she happened to end up moving to California and starting a relationship with Jerry Garcia, and we were like family to her.
Mhm.
So we knew him, And my brother was very good, close personal friends with Jerry, and they would drag him all over the world whenever they were touring the Dead. And he went happily, so he went all over the world with them. And they just the 7 years they were together, really, they were having like a family life, like you would imagine Jerry Garcia is just doing drugs and, getting drunk and staying out till 5 o'clock in the morning every night. But that's not really what he was about. And it's funny because that picture of him with wearing that hat, he actually loved America. He was a true American. So, but so that's how basically how we got involved. And then, what happened was when he passed away, and, there's a lot of heirs, of course, for the Garcia family. But he had all this artwork. He was actually an artist. He actually, I want
Let's
to say, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let's while we're talking, I'll move back to videos. First of all, I'll just show while I'm on the pictures here. As I said, I'm quite a big fan of the psychedelic artists and stuff, but Rick Griffin, who I interviewed way back in the 70s, a very nice chap, he was the one who did this one. And, a lot of people would take a while to realize that the lettering there says Grateful Dead is typical of both the
That's
style of
wonderful, isn't it?
the
Wow.
style of the poster and art at the time.
Mhm.
And Rick, of course, moved into doing a few things in the underground comic scene too, which again I followed
Mm,
that path. So, but I think the iconography in that picture
yes.
is very,
Wow.
it's very understandable. And if you look at it, it's not as wild and anarchic as you think, but it's like a lot of that, well, should we say, like stoned imagery from that time.
Mhm.
You're meant to look at it for a while and think, oh, wow, now I've
Mm,
just seen that and I've just seen that bit. It's as iconic as Jerry himself, I think. So I will move back to, since we're now to, yeah, I heard you moving in to the art gallery bit.
Mhm.
Um, let me. Okay, one of our safari colleagues, a guy called Alba Rocca, actually did some pictures from when Safari visited the museum. So I'm going to run this
Mhm.
one first. It's only a couple
Right.
of minutes, but you were talking basically about
Mhm.
him being an artist and how that came
Mhm.
into the picture. So
Yeah.
carry on.
So, we talked about this, and actually, Menasha had been thinking about having some kind of virtual cafe or something where everybody can get together and really enjoy the fact that not just as a musician, he was actually an artist first. He went to art school, and when he left us, he left 2,000 pieces of art. Um, so we were talking about this, and we came up with the concept, and we started building the museum actually last year. And we have some interactive pieces to it. That's Manasha, actually. She's a flower girl. And I mean, he does a lot of watercolor, pen and ink, really, but some of that is beautiful, like that butterfly study. Um, and
Mm.
then we also integrated not just artwork, but she has some real live pieces, like his phone, for instance. So his phone that he did like so many dealings on, his home phone, and she actually has it. And we actually did the phone in 3D and kind of made it look exactly like his That's Keelan. Um, Made it look like the phone, and we have display cases of some 3D elements to this. So, and then, the museum really just opened, but we're thinking of doing different um, themed gallery events, just like you would have in a real gallery. And then also,
Absolutely.
we were talking earlier that we would like to hopefully expand the gallery and have some wings to it where we have user created, fan created art depicted also. Because
I can imagine that could be incredibly interesting.
Well, he's also an
You could
artist.
really come up, yeah, you could really come up with some incredible stuff that would probably attract, real world interest. I should
Yeah.
imagine, because it's bringing together all the different forms of creativity. What do you think Jerry would have made of virtual worlds?
Oh my God, he would be here.
Yeah.
He loved technology. Um, he did a lot of things with technology. He did, pass away in 1995. Really was on the cusp of all the internet and all the virtual stuff happening. But he had yeah. So we do
I
have an
think we just
adjoining. Mhm.
I lost the last piece of what you said. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know if
So
Discord
did
dropped
I.
out for everybody.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think it did. I got absolute silence for a while. Uh, yeah, I'm waiting
But
for him anyways.
are going to have and have had some themed concerts. There is the Rainbow Full of Sound, which is a Dead cover band that Menasha and we have a relationship with, and we've done some live streams of them. We do have, that's two of the members right there, avatars of them. I did as close as possible to make them look. That's Jerome and Tony Saunders. And we are planning to have more musical events and live streams. Uh, and it's just kind of a nice, actually, Nexus designed most of that region, and it's just kind of a nice hippie region, very low key. We have grass, there's no seats. It would be just like if you were going to an outside concert. So, and we did have a little party for him for his birthday. So
Cool.
I do get a little emotional thinking about all this. Um, but
Okay, I love it though. I think you've just done such a great job at um, preparing something that nobody can really compare with this with something in the real world, because even if you have a moving exhibition from place to
mhm,
place, it's only there for maybe a week or so and then it's gone. And this is something that people from all around the world can come in and take a look
mhm,
at anytime and maybe be
mhm,
inspired, as you say, to create something of their own to add to
mhm,
the story, really. So the
mhm.
story is never ending, and the creativity is never ending.
Yeah,
And I really love that idea of the new wings on the gallery. That's
yeah.
going to be one.
This particular guitar, actually, somebody, she took a guitar and she took his art, California Mission, and this artist painted it on the guitar. And I think they have a lot of stuff. The Jerry Garcia Foundation obviously is a 501 um, charity organization. They do things like this guitar was painted with California Mission and then it was donated. So it's really wonderful cause too.
So, do you rotate the pictures, or are they all fixed for good?
We
Uh,
haven't yet, but yeah, we definitely are thinking of doing themes like a lot of stuff that he did was related to uh, water, sea. That's a live stream of he was really into scuba diving, so that's from the dive museum in Islamorada, Florida, actually in the Keys, and we did kind of a little display. But
See, as a segue here, was scuba diving? Was he into surfing? Because I know Rick was
no,
really
no,
known as a.
he was certified scuba diver,
Uh,
so he did it a lot in Hawaii. So believe it or not, yeah. So
and
Jerry's
Nexus is just commenting that you also have the giving tree. Can you
yes.
tell us what is that? The giving tree. I don't know about
The
that.
Giving Tree, Grateful, the Grateful Friends Charity Village is also adjacent to the museum sim, and it's the Jerry Garcia Foundation has maybe 20 or 30 charity partners and a lot of good causes and a lot of good things, and reef relief for saving the coral reefs, bees, and so the Giving Tree is going to be developed, and we're going to be featuring their partners, their charity partners, which are a lot of ecological, really good deed kind of partnerships. So we're going to be featuring that. But in the middle of it, we have the Giving Tree. So for Jerry's last birthday, which was August 1st, we have a big tree there, and uh, the foundation had people just do a word of gratitude and just email it into them, or direct message them and gave them that gratitude word, and then we put them on tags and we put them on the tree. I'm still actually doing it. There's a couple hundred words of gratitude from the fans, so it was great, and it's all
It's such a
positive.
positive vibe. Yeah,
Mhm.
the positive vibe. I mean, you feel that when you arrive on Neverworld anyway. There's this positive, no drama. When you arrive there, oh, thank goodness, get away from the
Wow.
yeah, there's definitely a wonderful feeling of serenity, and just like Nexus says, there's connection with so many people. As
Yeah.
he's just written in chat, there's this huge connection, and there's this huge sense of welcoming. I think that's what everybody feels when they come here, and that's rare, in this world that we live in. So congratulations to all you guys for creating that
Thank
vibe.
you.
And
Thank
and
you
I can
very
see
much.
why Jerry Garcia is a perfect fit for it.
Yep.
That's lovely.
Yep. That's a sculpture somebody recently did. So we have pictures of the sculpture. And actually, Menashe's looking into somebody doing a 3D rendition of that actual sculpture and maybe
Oh,
bringing it into Neverworld. So,
yeah.
yeah.
You need some animesh as well, don't you?
Well,
You guys, come on, Nexus. I know you can do it.
we
Come on,
talked
get that
about,
rigging.
we talked about maybe doing a animesh of Jerry, but and Keelan was for it, but it's kind of like, well, that would be a little bit,
And you don't know where he'll end up.
Yeah, let's
What
just, I
it
mean, I've
is.
seen an Ozzy Osbourne one, so
Oh,
I don't
God.
know if we want to do Jerry, but let's just keep him in memory as just a beloved, I feel like he was a member of my family, so
I, it's
Absolutely.
very easy these days, even with a mobile phone, to actually scan a real world statue by walking around it,
yes,
and then
yes,
it turns into a mesh, and then you can res it as a mesh in the middle of a field, or,
yes,
you know.
yes,
Um,
it would just, you'd
so
have to get, I think that artist might be in Maryland, if
uh,
I recall, so it would have to be somebody locally. So she's looking into that. So we'll see what comes of that, but it's developing. So just like OpenSim is developing, we're not committing to anything 100%. We're going to change exhibits, change ideas, and it's just really been a great experience working with them. Keelan and, Menasha are, good personal friends of mine anyway. So, but to bring this to everybody, because there's so many fans, I mean, thousands and thousands of fans, has been really a
absolutely.
great experience.
Uh, yeah, the Deadhead tribe is something in itself, probably a whole nation,
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
nice to think of it as a nation anyway, sort of.
And we did
Absolutely.
also, as I'm thinking of it, on Moonglow, we did, when we developed the region, of course, like everything Neverworld does, we said, well, we have to have some goodies for people. So we made a whole bunch of tie-dye products that are back there in tents, and anybody's welcome to come and pick up some,
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, tie-dye
this is
clothing
just
or,
wonderful. The stalls around here feels like a good old festival, with the
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
kind that don't exist anymore, sadly.
exactly.
Eh, so talking of that, looking to what you might do in the future, what is the future of Neverworld Grid? Do you have plans for the next year, the next 8 years? What's coming up
Uh,
in the future for you guys?
well, in the future, we are still working on some of those big complex, themed regions. and hopefully we're looking website wise, looking into more integration, and hopefully we have a marketplace right now, but it's basically just like um you can download stuff and then upload it to the grid, but we're looking into getting an integrated in-world delivery marketplace here, hopefully
Wow.
in the next year. That's really our goal.
In the
And
next
developing
year.
our
Wow,
in-world,
that's
yeah.
I love
And
that's
some of these, I
that's
love some of these
impressive.
textures. I'm actually
yeah.
looking at my own film.
He's starting to fade out. I'm wondering what you were doing.
Yeah, but it's so it's rich
I think
texture
he was
color.
shopping at some point there.
But yeah, there's a lot of great stuff. I mean, Alba helped a lot, um,
Yeah.
making a lot of these textures, and she found the textures. And I do work in Blender, and I do all that baking textures and all that. So we had a lot of fun doing that, of
Can you
course. And
just
there's
run through your
Reagan says I smell
Yeah,
hippie.
yeah, great. Classic. Absolute
Tell me
classic.
though, Govega, please can you run through who your core builders and creators are so that everybody gets
Sure.
the cheer that they deserve?
So we have Nexus, of course. We have Mr. Smokes. We have Eris Palistar, does a lot of NPC and scripting. He has Thunder Snow here, which is a vampire region. He has the zombie region, Jade Bay. We have Alba, who is also a builder. Rick Sullivan, he's another builder. He helped make the keys. Um, we have Star Mena, who is our events coordinator,
Mr.
and
Smokes, don't forget him.
Mr. Smokes is relatively new on the scene here, but he is an exceptional builder, and he actually started making buildings and stuff. Oh, I should mention we do have a sim here called Never Depot, and it's just like a Home Depot. We have it stocked with windows, doors, stairs, anything you might need, some landscaping, stuff you might need to build buildings. So anybody's
So
welcome to come there, and
is that like the Gundahar is the marketplace
website
person?
admin. Hmm.
Fantastic.
He helped with luckily, like, little did I know that he's been a resident here for several years, quite like maybe 3 or 4 years, and I didn't
What do you
know
mean,
at the time.
little did you know? You didn't know he
Yeah,
was there, or what?
because well,
You
I
just
know him, but I never really talked in depth with him, and found out that he's an
okay.
expert at Joomla and JOpenSim. So
Ah,
he jumped right on board that, and he's a great person. I love working with him. So, and that's, yeah.
Uh,
And
yeah, that's it.
Morgan. Morgan is kind of new to us. She's helped a lot with the resident relations and rentals. Joshua Seven also is really our main rental manager. Morgan has a lot of experience, um, and she's just been really a lot of help. So yeah, we have
And
still looking
we
for a
have
few more people.
we have May. I want to say her name right. Maythrian. There you go. I got it now. Who's here in the audience, and also anybody who comes to Safari knows very well, and that of
Mm-hmm.
course is Rob and Angelic Kisses, who are the
right.
fantastic
Yes.
life and soul of any party, aren't they?
So also, Rafaelos just recently came on as a staff photographer and
Fantastic.
videographer, because obviously, and he's just did a wonderful job during this last week, um, taking pictures, making videos of our birthday to share on Facebook. We're
This
very
is,
active in Facebook.
I've just
But
loaded up the last video, which is one you sent me the link to for his birthday on the 1st of August.
this was Sebastian.
This has got sound with it, I think. I
I
can't
think
remember.
it does.
So maybe we'll just play that with sound for a little break before we.
Sure, that would be great.
Summer flies and August dies, and the world grows dark and mean. Comes the shimmer of the moon on black infested trees. The singing man is at his song. The holy on their knees. The reckless are afraid. The timid leave their plea. No one knows much more than anyone can see. One can see. There were days, there were days, and there were days beside, when phantom ships with phantom sails set to sea on phantom tides.
That's wonderful. It's got and the song, it's very melancholy feel to it.
He was
words.
working on this song. I think it was never released. It's a song called Days in Between,
Ah,
when he passed away. And the fans, so his birthday was August 1st, and he passed away August 9th when he was just turned 53. And the fans call the days between the 1st and the 9th the days in between because of this song. So very appropriate.
yeah,
Very sad.
Lovely.
yeah, a wonderful song that captures the
Yeah.
mood completely. Well, before we came, I mean, I was pottering around trying to find stuff, old stuff from Neverworld and Jerry and the Grateful Dead. And it's everywhere, you know. There's on Facebook, for example, you've got the site, the Jerry Garcia site, which had a lovely ad for the show on it earlier today. But also the Grateful Dead, and then of course there's a million of fan sites, you know, that are run by. There's one actually. It's funny. It only had one member in the whole group, and that was Victor Moscoso, who of course was another one of the psychedelic artists around at that time and commentators. But I did find, at the time I was thinking, oh, well, it's Halloween, but of course we've actually passed Halloween now. But we were looking at this before we came on air, and I wasn't too sure whether to play it or not. But I think it's actually maybe a little a sort of funny thing we can sort of begin to close with. Um, it's actually it's basically Jerry himself talking about the movie that changed my life. Now the movie is Albert and Costello, and when you see it, you get the Halloween connection. But it's also just a little thing, you know, of Jerry talking, and you get a feel for it. So I'm just going to play a bit of that, probably not all of it, but you'll see what I mean.
This coffin that rises every night at sunset.
What happened to Costello meet Frankenstein? My mother, I think, must have taken me to see it, I guess, when it came out, in 1948, I guess that was. I'd never seen a horror movie before. I don't know that I understood who Abbott and Costello were. And it frightened me to where I wouldn't even actually look at it. I mostly hid behind the seats. I had my head down and I cried.
Didn't we
So
all?
occasionally I would glimpse the screen and go, oh, it was just sheer panic. It's like the first time you're on a roller coaster. It's just, yeah. I don't remember anything except the thing of being just frightened, you know. I remember the coffins too, the opening up the coffins and clearing away the straw, you know. Here's this big face, you know, you know. I was just, yeah, you know, I was afraid. It scared me really out of my wits, you know. But it scared and fascinated me. I was 6 years old. My father had died the previous year in 47. So that also made it kind of a heavy time in my life emotionally. You know, it was another real thing, I think, a big effect, a big reason for my clamping onto it, kind of. Um, the thing of, you know, a dead thing brought to life. It might have been the thing of the monster sort of shambling around. You know, that's kind of the boogeyman thing. You know, the can't walk well. You know, the transformation. You know, or Dracula changes into that bat. You know, just in the shadows. It's beautifully. It's animated. It really looks great. The Wolfman transformation, I always loved. After that, I loved it. You know, that is so cool. I mean, this was a juicy cast, you know, and it was the last time these characters had dignity. They have this thing too. That's another part of that same thing. It's not, you know, there's a powerful consciousness and there's a weak consciousness, you know, and one of them is going to dominate the other. And it's interesting how the course of Western science has gone along the DNA discoveries and so forth, that these things all have to do with this drive to reanimate or to produce life, you know what I mean? In the sense, Frankenstein's monster, after all, is a science project, finally. For me, the iconography, the Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, and the Wolfman became figures of tremendous fascination for me. I mean, overwhelming. I mean, it led me, for example, things like the discovery of German expressionist theater and film, you know what I mean? The James Whale original Frankenstein is so beautiful, beautiful lighting, and beautiful sets, you know, the great angular stuff and the great power, you know, of it. The Dracula character, you know, these things are all, they're icons in my life. They're personal icons. A lot of people, I mean, they have see these after the Bride of Frankenstein, I think, when he gets burned. He gets burned and then exposes these staples. I was wondering, where's that flat head come from? You know, whose idea was that? And I got to thinking, well, maybe the makeup guy decided he wanted to do something to make the creature distinctly not human, you know, like different in a visual way. For me, that movie is the start of my fascination, first of all, with movies. You know, I mean, I'm a filmmaker also, and the visual component is an important part of my life. I'm an art school person and so forth. I do art is the other thing I do besides music. I used to draw pictures of the Frankenstein monster over and over, you know, endlessly in different positions and different configurations. And I studied carefully the old Jack Pierce makeup, you know, what it looked like. And I was totally absorbed. I became totally absorbed. I think part of it had to do with the thing of being afraid the first time I saw it, the thing of it having that power of fear over me. I think there was some desire on my part to embrace that, you know, to make that to, to not let that control me that way. That whole business evoked something. It's like touched something, you know what I mean? Something I don't know what, something very strong, and it hit me in that archetypal thing. It hit me right in the Jungian center, you know, boom, you know, dong, and, you know. Comedy and the thing of being funny is it's a smart strategy, you know, to get by, you know, in life. If you're not powerful, if you're not huge, if you're not muscular, if intimidation is too much work for you, you know what I mean, it works good at disarming powerful
Okay.
adversaries. Costello is a remarkable comedian. His very, very broad physical style of comedy fits beautifully with the sense of this movie. You know what I mean? In other words, it's as big as the scary part. I see him as a power figure because he prevails. You know, he does in fact win. You know, and that's you know, that's a lot of power for the little guy too. You know what I mean? Which is also another thing that whole movie kind of is like, it's the little guy. The little guy nobody believes him. When you're a kid, it's like being a kid. Costello's a kid. He's the kid. You know, he's the person, the youngest person in the family. He's, you know what I mean. He's the one that nobody believes. And get out of here. You know, what are you talking about? I have a general fascination with the bizarre, you know, that comes directly from that movie. You know, that was my first sense of there are things in this world that are really weird. You know, I don't think I knew that before I saw that movie. That there are things that are really weird, and there are people who are concerned with them. You know, in some way that became important to me, and I guess I thought to myself on some level, I think I want to be concerned with things that are weird. I think that seems interesting to me because it seems like fun. Hi there. Hello. Frond. And that is in fact who I am.
He talks exactly like a
Yep.
builder, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Exactly like anybody who builds in OpenSim or even Second Life. That is exactly everything what he said. I could just see him there with Blender.
Yeah, I could see
So
him.
just
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, you know, I know that there's a Halloween
interesting.
connection midweek, but you know, sort of,
What a treat.
you know, he was. The only thing I was waiting for was I don't know if I've ever heard where he got the name Grateful Dead from, and I thought he was going to connect the dead creatures in the movie to the name Grateful Dead, but he didn't. But no,
Yeah.
I mean, listening. It didn't really matter what he was talking about. You got a sense of his creativity and, you know, a feel for his attitude to the thing there. It's sort of,
And his humor, he had
yeah,
humor, you
yeah,
know.
he didn't stop laughing after the
Yep.
time. Yeah, that's yeah, very expressive too. So just another kind of side to him. I remember from a previous show. I don't know what I did with it, and we haven't got time left anyway. But I did actually have a clip of that same band who you'd had on the stage. You know, when we zoomed in on the film, you saw a couple of them in avatar form. I actually had a real world clip that I think got off YouTube or somewhere of them playing. But
Oh,
for another day, maybe, because there's so
yeah,
many Grateful Dead tribute bands these days as
yeah,
well. Yeah. I think tribute bands are a bigger business than real bands these days. You know,
yeah,
everybody's going back to the past and just say,
yeah.
"Well, you can't do anything new. There ain't nothing new. We'll just go and imitate the legends."
Yeah, it's Rainbow Full of Sound. They're a really great tribute band.
Uh,
So I actually saw
And
them in,
kudos to the guys that they came in World to actually participate when you did the
yes,
opening for the museum. A lot of
yes,
people probably wouldn't necessarily do that. So I
yes,
really appreciated that. I
yes,
thought that was a great gesture on their
yeah,
part.
they definitely tried. So, yep.
right. Well, we're approaching the time where, if we're not careful, James will sit on a button that makes an awful lot of racket. And it's not the Grateful Dead, it's the Pink Floyd, I think. But it's a way of telling us that our time is up, kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, talking of James, actually, you've have obviously been quiet while you're filming and stuff. Any thoughts you have you'd like to ask Govega or
No, no.
anything?
I just I'm a fan, and I have close friends who are great fans of the Grateful Dead, and what a fun build this is, and what a
Wow.
great tribute. So I really admire the work that everybody did to put this together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it, and we had a lot of fun. We will continue with it in honoring Jerry and his art.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, all things must pass. That was George Harrison, not Jay, but never mind. And we have to come back to this at a later point too. Maybe when you've expanded the museum or moved to the annexes, you know, tribute places. I don't know. It's a wonderful thing. It's quite funny because this season we've had George Harrison's garden and a lot of
Right.
similar things, you know, that connect to, you know, people and tributes. And as far as Joe's concerned, this one's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Um, yeah. So any other thoughts there, sir?
Just wonderful show. Once again, you pulled out some really wonderful movies there, and I really was. I'm not a huge Grateful Dead fan. It was a part of me growing up, but I've learned a lot, and I really do appreciate the wonderful harmony, the harmonious creativity of it all. And it's been a great pleasure to learn about it. Thank you for coming on, Govega, and telling us more about it.
Thank you for having us. I mean, it was our pleasure to be here, and yeah, when things develop, we'll let you know, Thirza.
And we will be back.
Yes.
I'm sure Safari will be back before long anyway as well. So although it won't be this Wednesday, I would remind everybody that the final Safari of the season and of the year basically happens this Wednesday. So do join us on OS Grid at HG Safari, the clubhouse, where it's our launch pad. We'll take off from there and zoom across the hypergrid in search of wonderful things. The wonderful things in question that I told you about earlier, so it's not that much of a mystery, but never mind. Well, thank you very much indeed, Govega, for coming on. I just, sort of concur with what Thirza said. We learned a lot, we witnessed a lot and saw a lot, and it was really great stuff, and very, very, the tribute side of it, very fitting too. So, we'll wrap the show here, I think. Thanks to my tech wizard, James Atloud. Thank you, James.
Yeah, sure thing, Mel. Thank you also for having the show.
Yeah, and thank you to Thirza for co-hosting as usual. Wonderful co-host.
Great to be here.
And thank you again, Govega. And
Thank you.
yeah. And we'll call it quits there. We will be back again with this show at least, same time, same place next week. And until then, I wish you all a very good morning, a very good afternoon, a very good evening, or indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. Bye for now.